So Roxana Blades, Chief Financial and Administrative Officer for Institute.aging. My day in my life is actually expands all those functions that report to me, right? So financial, spend a lot of time managing financial performance for IOA, what we're doing, working very much across the organization with operational leaders. We have a lot of growth going on in the organization. And so it's always a challenge to make sure that we're being able to support the growth while managing sort of the how quickly we can fund things as a nonprofit sometimes. We have earned revenue, but we also rely on philanthropy and some other state contracts. So it's a constant challenge of going back and forth, but very focused on growth in the organization. Information technology and facilities and procurement are all part of that piece as well. So I spend some time in those functions. Otherwise, also working with our C team in order to make sure we're aligned on how we're moving against our strategic goals. So typical day with a lot of moving parts. With the changes in Medi-Cal and the risks that's out there for reduced funding that may come from the federal level, that has an impact on us. Many of our programs that we do for the state and the counties across the state of California could be impacted. Eligibility requirements may be changing. So for us as a nonprofit, we've been really focused on what risks we have. We want to continue to serve those populations across the county. So part of that is looking very closely at what we dive into, how we do it, how we can manage it financially as well in order to be the best level of service while being able to retain our bottom line. But we're very committed to serving these populations across the county. So I think we also find that we can find funders and grant organizations that are willing to, bridge the gap that could occur if we lose additional funding in any way or capacity. At this point in time, we've not seen it, so cross our fingers, but that's not to say that that's not coming over the next year. I think with the health plans, we're a covered entity, so with the health plans that we work with, we're constantly asked our security questionnaires. It's very, very deep dive into how we're protecting their data. Obviously, we sign a multiple business associates agreements. We've been very fortunate in the time that I've been in the seat that we have had maybe one incident in particular, but we were able to resolve that pretty quickly. It takes a lot of attention and detail and scrutiny, and obviously our outside vendor is key to helping us perform that as well, right? We were almost 10 years with ITS actually. So what I would say is my start at an organization, I've been 13 years here. So literally at first on, we had a provider that I brought in right away, and they left pretty shortly after that. And we went out to look at the market, and the VP that was working with me on the technology side identified ITS to come in. We interviewed them and the team, and we made the decision to bring them in. I would say at the very start, and it still continues, I believe, was the support of the organization. And so they made a huge impact on how they were supporting our employees across the organization. And so that was a key difference from the prior vendor that we had had, and really addressed immediate issues that were allowing people to do their work, right? So the early stages of that engagement, that was the most impactful thing that they did for us immediately, and they continue to do it over the last 10 years. Well, as someone who receives federal funding, we're obligated to go to market, right, periodically. So having a very large contract with an outside vendor, we were really saying, hey, it's been 10 years, we need to go to market just to be fair and actually be compliant with what we're supposed to be doing. So we went to market and did a fair comparison of the vendors and did a comparison back and forth. And ITS came out in the mix, but there was another vendor that provided some additional things that we were looking for a deeper, some cost reductions and different ways of doing things. And so looking at our bottom line, we decided, if they're going to provide the same services and provide it at a less of a discount, keep the quality up, maybe this is the time to make the change. So we went ahead and made the change at that point in time. So that was a bit over a year ago. And I would say that I would give kudos to ITS. The transition between that vendor went really well. ITS was very cooperative with the other vendor in making the transition. Once that transition occurred, I think probably 3 months into that, Some of the issues in regards to not following up on some of our other, we wanted them to do some other work for us, some projects, a big delay in these projects. They didn't have the manpower to do some of those projects for us. Their help desk was back east, right? We have a West Coast shop. Things got delayed. One of the things we had decided to do was to bring in-house. There was a lot of miscommunication between what the inside person was handling versus what was being done outside. They had a different tiering system than ITS did. So that was 3 months in. By the time we get to 6 months, we're seeing loud complaining from employees, which had not been the case. And we have about 1,500 employees, and literally those tickets were being closed differently under ITS. And what we were finding is, and it got all the way up to the executive team, our tickets are open, our employees can't work sometimes, they're waiting for attention and so forth. The projects also were critical to us because some of that had to do, like we had a data warehouse optimization project. They never touched it, they never followed up on it. Escalation to their senior management would be receptive, but no action was being taken, right? So we tried to work to resolve the issues with them over a period of time. And then finally, I made the executive decision, we need to go back to market. And I'm gonna go back because Ed Griffin, your CISO, reached out and said, how's everything going? So I jumped on that email and said, it's not really going well, let's have a conversation, right? Because when we looked at who else had been in the RFP, we didn't think they were competitive. So really, ITS was a natural one to go back to, besides our experience. What I would say is, from the start with your president, Deepika, and with Ed, Brian Fields, who's our senior director of information technology, we had quite a few conversations about, and actually I commend them both. They said, what didn't work, right? Why did we lose it? They did ask the question. So we said, hey, you were doing great on supporting the organization, but some of those projects also got delayed. You know, there were some challenges there as well. So we talked through all of those issues. We also wanted more metrics. We wanted better reporting about how things were working within our organization with tickets and response times. So we were shown some of the new things that ITS has brought into the field in regards to that to keep customers up to date on what's up there. So we had a very honest, transparent conversation about what worked, what wasn't working, and what we needed in the organization. And then they responded with, okay, this is what we can deliver for you, and have been very, very engaged in trying to resolve how quickly it could come in once we made the decision to go with ITS. Once the communication was made that we were transitioning back to ITS, it's been an overwhelming, like, who's coming back, right? Because there are big fans of many of your tech support people that have been helping IOA over the last 10 years. So everyone is very ecstatic about ITS, and they really just want to know, when are all these things going to get resolved for us, right? When is that going to happen? On the fence, I would just say, really closely look at when people talk about customer service or responses. You really need to dig into, what does that really mean? Give me an example of it, because what we found with the other vendor is they talk the same game, but when you really talked about, hey, you can escalate the ticket and you'll get attention. I mean, clearly with ITS, it's pretty outlined, and we've tested that and seen how that works. With other vendors, we found that really lacked that response time. So I would say, if you're really talking about, if you're looking at how do you respond to these open items, I think that was a big piece for us. And we gave that feedback back to the other vendor, that what you set up is not working, right? And no one's really monitoring. And even though we went as far up the chain as we could, that wasn't. So I would say that's key. If you're gonna say customer service, give me some examples, let me talk to some of your customers, and let me ask some specific questions. I think doing very rigorous research on that is important. And then how do you really work with the other heavy lifting that we require from vendors, like these main projects, right, that are critical to moving our servers, doing all these other optimization activities. I mean, I think that we're really excited today to be able to introduce ITS back into the organization, and it's very commendable that we have some senior staff that's come in to be able to be supportive of that, and I think they'll get the warm reception that they deserve